Hi folks, this video is the second in a two-part series on the programming of the L9100 Air column, and we are continuing today with looking first at the display menu, which is the fifth item down on the main programming menu. Now, as you select the display menu, you'll notice there are two sub-items to this menu. One is color set. The color set item is where you determine which colors you wish to assign to what portions of the bar display using the available green, amber, and red colors. And of course, you may establish the color sections however you see fit. But today I will demonstrate the typical setup where the display colors are in alignment with the specific limit settings. When you press the enter button, the first thing you will see is what is usually defined as the low limit set point. As you move the up and down arrow keys, the lower edge of the green lights will move, and you adjust the light to represent the low limit set point which you had previously defined in the limits menu. And this is the point again where the red low limit point will transition into the green OK. Now when you press enter, the color 2 menu will now allow you to set the lights to match the high limit set point, so the upper edge of the green lights will move accordingly. The next one is the color 3 menu, and it allows you to establish an amber area of lights representing a low approach area. So you press the arrow keys to move the display to the desired position. You will not be able to move into the red light zone. Now, if you don't want an amber approach area, then move the amber lights right to the red area till there are no amber lights lit. Press the enter button once more for the color 4 menu, and in a similar way you set the upper approach light zone. Now pressing enter again will save the settings and it will move you back to the previous menu. The marker menu item shows you how to set up 3 separate amber light markers on the display. Now these could be used for center 0 or perhaps to denote master positions or anything else you might wish. They are a visual reference only. If you don't want to use the markers, then simply move them to the bottom of the bar display. The next item on the main menu is referred to as the user menu. The L9100 column allows 2 of the front panel push buttons, the lower 2, to be programmed by the user for several different functions, and they are labeled as U1 and U2 on the front panel. And the 5 functions are, first of all, off. You can completely disengage a front panel push button so it will have no activity. Secondly, you can program a button to toggle between an actual reading or a tolerance reading on the digital display. The actual reading is simply the nominal part size plus the actual tolerance value. You can also program a button to perform as a read transmit, such that when the operator presses the button, it will send a reading to the serial output of the column. A button can be programmed to perform a TIR reset. So if you are operating in a total indicating reading mode, as programmed in another section, you can perform a manual reset from the front panel push button. Or you can also program a push button to turn the TIR on and off so you can toggle back and forth. You can also perform read and TIR reset functions by means of contact closures from the rear panel connections. So if your operators are required to press buttons often for this, then you're probably better off to have an external button for this purpose rather than programming the front panel buttons. Likewise, there are 3 annunciator lights which can be programmed on the front LED display. You can program them both for function and for the color of the light. The available functions are, first of all, you can turn the light totally off if you don't wish to use it. Secondly, you can use it to indicate when your reading is in an intolerance condition. You can also program it for an out of tolerance condition. You can program the light to come on if you are in an approach condition, either high or low, or it can come on if you are simply in a high limit position or in a low limit position, or in a high approach position or a low approach position. So all those functions are available. And the light choice colors available are red, yellow, green, and blue. Now the next item on the main menu for programming is called the Format menu. And this menu also has 3 sub-menu items. The first one is part description. The user can enter any description of the setup desired using up to 16 alphanumeric characters, and this is specific to each setup, each of the 8 setups for the column. The description will appear at the bottom of the LCD display menu. For each character, it is necessary to use the up or down arrow keys to scroll to the desired character and then press the enter button to advance it. It is a bit of a cumbersome process, but it only has to be done once when you're first setting up a column. A few mathematical operator characters are also available as part of this description string. The second item on the submenu for format is engage multiple parts. Now, if you intend to program the column for more than one part or setup, then you can set this to enable. If there will only be one part that you would be using for the column, then set it to disable. And the option to change parts when you're entering the program menu therefore will not appear. It can be changed again in the future at any time. The third submenu item on the format menu is copy parts setups. If your column will be programmed for more than one part, anything up to 8 different parts are available. Very often, most of the programming parameters will be common, and only a few aspects such as the nominal size or the master sizes may change. It's therefore useful when creating a new part setup to simply make a duplicate of the programming of a previous part setup and then edit those things which are different. And to do this, you first select Yes from the first menu, and when you're asked what setup you are copying from, scroll to the correct number and press Enter again. If you select 0, it will exit the menu. For example, if you select 1, then that will be the setup that you will be copying to another setup number. And you can have anything, as I mentioned, up to 8. The second item, then, it will ask you what number of setup you are copying to, and again you scroll through the various numbers to select the correct one. Now you need to be very careful when you're doing this that you do not select a setup which has already been programmed, as it will overwrite those parameters in favor of the new. And when you press Enter, it will return you back to the main menu. The next item on the main menu is called the Options menu. This allows you to a few different things. First of all, you can set up a secondary ID code. Now this is a 5-digit code which you can use if you wish to require the operator to enter the code in order either to auto-master the column or to change the part number. If the ID is left at 00000, then the user will not be prompted for the ID code when attempting to do either of these two functions. The next item in this menu is external, and it refers to TIR reset, read, or master. All of these 3 functions can be initiated and performed either from the front panel push buttons or from a momentary contact closure between the pins of the column rear panel connectors. And now if you don't need these functions, or if you're using the front panel push buttons, you can simply disengage the external contact capability. This can be helpful if your installation environment is very noisy due to RF or poor AC line regulation, as by turning the external contacts off, you can help to prevent accidental triggering. If you turn them on, you will need some sort of a push button or hard contact device to trigger these and initiate these functions.